Welcome to the podcast. So today we are going to talk about religious fear. I got to tell you guys, several years ago, after I started doing hypnotherapy and I started seeing things within my own clients and experiences within my own life, and realized, like, man, that the Christian Bible beliefs that I had grown up with were not only they didn't resonate anymore, and the farther that I looked into it, the more I could find fault in it, and the more I realized, like, man, I don't believe this stuff anymore, and I was so bought into it until I really started reading it on my own and realizing many of the things that I believed, I only believed because I guess some church pastor had told me, or a Sunday school teacher, but it's not because I had read it, deciphered it, and thought, okay, this is what I'm going to believe now. But I was believing so many things because other people had told me to, my parents, my this or that, and you just don't question these things, right? When you're little and you're told something, you just believe it, or you don't, or you whatever, but then you go on about your life and you realize all these things. It makes me think of these old wives' tales, like, oh, well, if you fold the aluminum foil around this way, then it's going to do this, or it's going to do that, which is, it's just not true. It doesn't matter which way you fold it. The reason why it looks a certain way is because of the way that it comes out of the machine. It has nothing to do with whether it's holding in the heat or sending out the heat. But we believe in these ridiculous things because somebody told us them, and then we just kept believing in it. And we're like, did I wrap my potatoes the right way? When it really didn't matter that we've been doing it for 40, 50 years. So same thing happens with religious dogma. So I know several years ago, I was to the point where I believed, okay, I don't believe in this stuff anymore, and I know it's not true, but yet I had this fear of damnation. I had this fear of, like, well, if I'm wrong, I'm going to go to hell, which I had a friend in town where I used to live up in Canada, and he used to be part of this religious cult, when he was younger, until he left. And he said to me, and he was in his 40s at this time, he said, I don't believe in that stuff, and, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but every once in a while, I'll have this wave of, oh, but what if I'm wrong? What if I go to hell? What if I've ruined everything for my whole family? And I totally get it, man. So if this is you, complete understanding. And I have to tell you, I actually had to do a hypnosis session for specifically that, and it was a 3-hour session. But I did it because I knew the truth. But yet I was, like, still afraid, like, oh, well, what if I'm wrong? What if I don't actually know the truth? And so I go into this subconscious state. This is what I do with my clients, is you take you there and you find the answers yourself. Because when you're in the subconscious state, you don't have your conscious mind, you don't have your mind to be in the way, to be like, and contradicting and all these things. All it does is it gets into the truth mind. And so then you can be free. And what I remember from my session was that Archangel Gabriel came into my session and guided the process. That is really the only thing that I remember, but I know that I came out of there, no fear of going to hell. None of this stuff anymore. I was just actually in alignment with the truth, which you guys know, right? If you're in a state of fear, that's a feeling of hell. So then you're living in hell on earth. This isn't what we're supposed to do. We're here to create heaven on earth. So I'm going to read to you guys from the Christ letters. If you happen to have the book, it's page 226. The time has surely come when you must now be told the truth concerning sin and human behavior and what people are presently doing to the world and to themselves. Providing you have fully abandoned the age-old myths of religious doctrine and are presently eager, receptive, and gladly opening your hearts completely to the realities of existence. If you are none of these things, then what I have to say will have no meaning for you. Believe me that you cannot mix your old religious beliefs with the truth of existence. If you try to do so, you may be sure that you're not seeing the truth, but only your adaptation of what you believe you have gained from these pages. If you continue to search for the truth of existence, but remain in a divided state of conviction, you may continue the search at a great cost to yourself, torn by indecision, fear, and a continuing ability to perceive the true meaning of the new teaching. Your developing perceptions will be partially obscured by the messages arising out of the old conditioning of your consciousness and subconscious mind. You may not realize the enormity of such a problem at this present time, but it is a tremendous problem, because your present deep beliefs are your present truth, on which you construct your daily lives. They are your reality. Your convictions and strongly held belief may be completely illusory, but if you fully believe in them, in your subconscious, they become absolutely real for you. No matter how compelling of your attention may be to any new ideas contradicting your beliefs, your consciousness will be split and will give you enormous discomfort and even anguish you. Remember, your consciousness is the fabric out of which you make your lives. This consciousness fabric is the ground of your every response to every single thing which happens in your mental, emotional, and physical lives. Your consciousness is your reality. This statement may be expressed in two ways, both of which are true to your existence. Your consciousness creates your reality, irrespective of what the actual facts of your earthly life may be. When people believed that the earth was flat, they were afraid to venture too far over the ocean lest the ships could fall over the edge. The people who believed in a flat earth lived according to that belief. When Galileo said the earth was round, he was considered a heretic, but his perception of the roundness of the earth enabled sailors to take a new look at the world and set out to discover what lay on the other side of the ocean. It required a change in their belief to make it possible. You are in a similar position in regard to these letters. Those people who discount and ridicule them are like the people who believed in a flat earth and were afraid of falling over the edge if they sailed too far to the east or the west. Their horizons were severely limited by their false beliefs. So are the horizons of those people who believe the world to be solid. They are severely restricted. Day after day, they lament and grieve over the misfortunes which have befallen the world, believing there's no escape from them. But the people who can grasp and welcome the truth of consciousness that I'm presently giving the world are like those who perceived that travel on the oceans could be limitless, undertaken in all directions, providing they had the will to set out on such a journey. Therefore, your state of consciousness is the most important consideration in your life, not your relationships or possessions or position in life. Tend to your consciousness, and the blessedness in all aspects of your life will follow. By your consciousness, you feed yourself with inner love and harmony, joy and beauty, even in the back streets of a slum. With such a consciousness, you will find yourself being removed from the streets of the slum into an environment in keeping with your inner self. So do you climb out of unpleasant circumstances. It is your attitudes, your beliefs, that dictate absolutely everything. I'm going to give you a couple subconscious examples of things that we believe in, reactions that we have that are totally real, and yet they are just a game that our subconscious mind plays. So as you guys know, or you don't, I'm a hypnotherapist, have been for about 10 years. And so have you ever been watching a movie? Let's say it was a scary movie, and all of a sudden you feel this feeling of fear, right? So your mind has created or seen this image, and because your mind believes everything that it sees, even though you necessarily don't, but your mind believes everything it sees, it then reacts in fear, even though this is something that is just printed on a television screen, playing in front of you, and you're in actually no real danger, but your mind doesn't know this, which is why you react in fear, even though there's just something on a screen in front of you. This is what our mind does all day long, every day, with all the things. We have these visions, these thoughts, as if it was printed on a TV screen in front of us, and our mind believes in them because we have created the vision. That's it. That's all it takes, is your mind seeing this. And you know what? You don't even actually have to believe in it. There's this really good exercise. It's way back on my page, honestly. It might be a couple years. I should probably do another one. But it's this practical exercise that you physically are doing something and you're limited until you envision that you can do this thing beyond what you're currently doing, and then all of a sudden physically your body can move beyond what it was doing. And it didn't even matter whether you believed you could do it or not. Mustering up the image in your mind of being able to do it allowed the subconscious to feel like it was safe to proceed, to allow you to do what you were asking it to do. And it shifted something just through a vision. So, when you create visions, pictures, images for yourself in your mind that you think are of no consequence, they are. They actually do have an effect on you. So just envision this. What does the world look like when you're living in heaven, and when you leave your house and every person that you cross on the street, you take a moment, you take the time not only to make eye contact, but to smile and to send them out love and expect that that same energy will be returned to you. When this becomes your belief, which I hope that it does, your life is going to shift in a dramatic way. Because typically most people go through their lives without any thoughts, without being thoughtful about their lives at all. And as they go through their life without any thought, they encounter people, they pass them by, they don't actually understand the effect that they and their thought, their mind is having on the people and their environment. And so they go about their day and think, oh, I don't like that over there. Oh, that's kind of cute. Oh, I don't really like that. Oh, that's kind of nice over there. And they go about their life judging things without even really realizing that they're doing it. We do this constantly. Go out and go for a walk and notice how many things that you notice. Do you see a tree and you're like, oh, it's so beautiful? Do you see a thing in the yard and you're like, oh, that's so nice? Are you sending out good, loving intentions, or are you walking by thinking, oh, those people need to clean up their yard. Oh, look at that trash over there. Which one are you? Are you the one that sends out love and are living in heaven, or are you the one that's judging and living in hell? And it's not only that you then in your present world are creating hell for yourself, you are through these thoughts, because your world outside doesn't appear heavenly, right? When there's all these things to judge, it's not very heavenly, is it? But you don't understand the process that got you to that place was through judging in the first place. And you think, okay, well, that's not how it works. Am I just going to gaslight myself and ignore it? Well, that's not how it works. When you understand that the universe is actually not solid, it's actually not solid. It's not solid. And so my friend Jared, who we had on here a couple of days ago, he told me a couple of weeks ago, he's like, man, I've been seeing things particling out, like a rock disappearing in front of my face. And as we get to these levels, right, we're beginning to master matter, because we understand that it's not actually there, that nothing is actually solid. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever been on a giant mushroom trip before, but things like this happen in a mushroom trip. But what has actually happened in this process is your mind, the limits that we normally put on our mind, keep us safe and live our life, have been removed. And so we're able to do all these things that we're always able to do, but because we don't have any limits of, oh, I can't do that, oh, I whatever, we can achieve and do these things during this time. So then what happens? Okay, now you're not on this sacred medicine anymore, and you're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. You've now placed the limit back on yourself. Whereas if you study the Christ letters and you deeply understand that there's actually nothing that is solid, then you can begin to understand, okay, well, if there's nothing that's solid, that means that that's not actually there. And so if I really stop believing that that thing is there, it's actually going to disappear, and then it can, or it will. But when you get to these levels too, then you're not going to play around with these things, because the reason why you got to that level was because you love the divine so much. You can only get there from a place of love. It is the only place that you can get there from. And so once you get to that place where you could be mastering matter, or you could be doing all these things, you are only going to use it for the goodwill. If somebody's like, okay, well, I don't believe you, I want to test you out on this, well, that's that person's problem, and they're not going to get to experience something like that in their life, because they're not the one doing the work, and we have nothing to prove, because we've seen it for ourselves. We know what's true. And if someone was to come up to us and say, hey man, could I have some healing, and they believe that they would get the healing, they 100% would get the healing. Whereas if somebody comes up and they're like, oh, you're a healer? Oh, I don't think so. I'm going to test you out. Well, they're not believing in anything. Their belief system is dictating their reality, and they're going to see that play out. They don't believe in those things. Well, they're not going to experience the miracles that could come from it, because of their doubt, because of their disbelieving mind, consciousness, because of their attitude. And so truly, the people who have these negative attitudes are actually missing out on the miraculous part of life that those who believe in the miraculous part of life experience every day. Now, I live here in Sedona, Arizona, and in my backyard, I got this beautiful tree. I think it is a mesquite tree, which is really cool. And it is filled with hummingbirds. At any given time in this day, there will be, 1 to 7 hummingbirds. But you really can't go and sit outside for more than 2 minutes and not have one be present. And so these beautiful birds are everywhere. And there's other ones. There's all these like bright yellow and all these woodpeckers and all these birds hang out in the yard. And it's just so beautiful. And I expect that I'm going to have these beautiful, wonderful things in my yard, and it has been like this for years. When I lived in Joplin, I would sit there and I'd go and I'd meditate, and I'd open my eyes. There'd be 3 bunnies sitting around me, or birds coming up and just sitting, watching. I expect these little things, which might not seem like a big thing, but to me, they're just a display of the heaven that we're living in. Because to me, being surrounded by these beautiful little hummingbirds in all freaking different colors, man, you haven't even seen half the colors. That I didn't even know these hummingbirds existed until I'm seeing them. I'm like, what? There's one that's completely red. Didn't know that was possible. Never seen that before. Is that even a thing? Don't know, but they exist here. But when you believe in these things and you believe that these things are miraculous, like I believe the hummingbirds, they're called a freaking glittering, in a flock of them, a glittering or a shimmer. When you believe these things are heavenly and you believe you're living in heaven, of course you're going to experience them. They're going to be around you all the time. When I was living in Joplin, I used to go for walks with my mom basically every day, take her out for a walk. She'd had knee surgery. Come on, let's go do the thing. And we're walking down a path, and this one leaf is waving at us. And I can't even, I wish we had had a video camera, but this has happened to me a couple times, where it is truly like this leaf is actually trying to communicate with us. There's no wind. The whole entire path that we're on is completely just calm, and yet there's this one leaf that's out there that's going crazy. And I'm like, dude, what is on this thing? Is there like a lizard on here? Like, what's happening? Go check it out. No, there's nothing. And then seeing that several times. And after the first time, I said, well, Mom, we live in heaven. What do you expect? Maybe this is somebody trying to communicate with us, or it's just something that's proving to us that we're living in heaven. Because I would say this every single day. Well, of course we're living in heaven. Miraculous things happen. And coming from a place of believing this so truly and so deeply that you then witness it in your life. I would go in and do talks, and I would go and do these talks. Well, I'm believing the divine is wanting me to do this, or I wouldn't be provided these opportunities. And so as I would go and do these talks, and I was doing them on physical healing, then people would message me afterwards, and they'd say, what happened? Like, I came here with pain and I left without it. Because I was speaking, because I was just talking them and telling them why their pain was there in the first place. And these little things are proof here that we're living in heaven. Because when I would go to these events, I would expect, okay, well, the divine obviously sent me here. So there's obviously a purpose. So something wonderful is obviously going to happen here. Give me proof. And I would always ask for proof. And then I would receive it through a text, or somebody coming and making a message, or somebody calling and booking an appointment. Hey, this crazy thing happened. When I need an appointment with you. Whatever it happened to be. But when we believe in these things, then we'll be witness to them. But what happens? Life gets in the way. And so we do real good for a little bit of time, right? We're like, cool, man. Okay, I'm going to believe in this. I'm going to do that. Let me give you another example here. So my daughter's dog, she's 7 months old, and a mini Australian Shepherd, totally adorable. She was a little bit crazy. Anyways, so this dog, was a little crazy puppy thing. And so we would, say that, like, oh, she's so crazy, blah, blah, blah. And then, came to the realization of, why are we doing that, man? We shouldn't be doing that. So me and her, we're like, okay, 100% solid. We are only speaking good things. We are only speaking, no more crazy, no more any of these things. She's perfectly behaved. So we test this out, as we love to do, because it's fun to do, and I would recommend that you do it as well. We test this out, and we speak only good words. Oh, she's so smart. Oh, she listens so good. Oh, that. And she completely is a different dog now. A completely different dog. And this was like within a day or two. You could tell the difference. But we get addicted to these little things. We get addicted to these little judgments, or these little comments, or whatever it happens to be. And it's flavoring our world. It's actually changing the fabric of the universe that we're witnessing. and distorting it and changing it into something that is not heaven, and it is meant to be heavenly. So if you were to think about the fabric of the world, just imagine that there's a net that has gone out, like a net. Okay, and so then at every corner, how like the net has little circles, or little circle-ish shapes in it. Imagine every intersection where the net is woven to the next piece of net, it's got like a little link that is right there. And now just imagine that the whole world that you have out in front of you is just that. It's just like this net. Now you're spelling constantly, creating spells through your words. Every single word that you speak is a spell. And so as you're speaking, it's as if your words are going out and they're dropping into the net, into the little corners in the net where the fabric is. And then it begins to sprout and it begins to create whatever it is. You could think of this as like a seed. Well, you've planted whatever seed it is, it begins to sprout. Okay, well, it's an oak seed. Okay, now it's going to turn into an oak tree. Well, what word did you speak? What seed is that going to grow? What type of spell have you placed in the fabric of your world? And when you become very conscious of this and you realize, like, dang it, man, I've been spelling a whole bunch of things that I didn't even realize I was doing, and I should really stop doing that. When you become so extremely conscious of this, and up until that point, you're unaware of what it is that you're doing to yourself. But when you become so conscious of these words, then you take more care. But all of us, every friend that I know that we're on the spiritual path, we're like, we keep being told we need to speak less. A couple weeks ago, I was sitting outside, meditating in the backyard, and I got this major activation and upgrade. And I was told, well, you just got a huge upgrade. Look for it. And it said, you're going to stop speaking words along this way. You're going to stop. And man, I got to tell you, man, I would be 98% good with my words. But there is that 2% that could be frustrating. Let's say that my ex decides he's going to message me and, try to instigate some type of angry emotion or something like this. He can do it sometimes, man. That's the only person on this planet that can do that to me. And then after the fact, I'm like, why did I succumb to this? Why did I allow myself to dip my energy down and to even just speak words about him? Why did I allow that? And so it's a constant learning. It's not like we just wake up the next day and we're like, perfect, now I'm never going to speak those words again. I mean, this is my goal. This is what I'm working towards, is this complete permanence, which is why I'm really excited about what I have coming up over the next couple of months. Because like I've told you guys this before, but there's that Charles Bukowski poem. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe something about being alone. I'm not sure. Or Go All the Way, maybe it's called. But he says, being alone is the gift, and all else is a test of your endurance. And I have to say that that's true. When I would go on these spiritual retreats and I'd be alone for 3 weeks by myself, and then all of a sudden you have people introduced. Well, the people that are back in your life, they're not on the heaven frequency. They're just not, man. Because most people aren't, unless you are surrounding yourself by spiritually minded people like your soul tribe, your light worker community, that they are mindful and constantly on the same path as you. It is a test of your endurance. It is a call for mastery, because it is extremely difficult to be around people that are not on the heaven frequency. I mean, I'm saying that, which is making it a belief, and I just made it solid, but it's a challenge compared to being around people who are in the state that they all want the same thing. Let's say that you and me, we all get together here, whoever's listening to this channel, well, yeah, we're all on the same vibe, but there would be people who are starting out, and there would be people who would be quite advanced, who are already so mindful of their words, they don't speak anything. That's not good. And maybe they're working on the stuff in their head of, okay, I had this thought, but I'm not going to speak it out loud, realizing truly that we're creating spells with every single word that we're saying. There will be people that will be so extremely mindful of this. And everyone else, the whole rest of the collective, they're coming along, but most of them don't even know this information yet. They don't even know what it is that they're doing to themselves. But when they realize, sometimes you realize something that you haven't realized before, and that's it. That's all it took was, bam, you're shifted, you're changed, something's different now. But sometimes we realize these things and we think, okay, yeah, no, that sounds right. Okay, I'm going to test it out. Okay, yeah, that works. That worked pretty good. I've had people tell me this. Oh, I tested it out. I started thinking differently about this person, and wow, I noticed a difference right away. You know, I wasn't getting these same reactions. I wasn't having this as an outcome, because they shifted their belief. But then very quickly, because this wasn't part of their programming, wasn't part of their practice, they fall into the old way. They forget how effective that was to just think differently for a little bit, and then they're back to the old way again. But this is something that you can't quit. This is something that's a continuum. When I wake up in the morning, I'm like, man, what am I going to do today? Okay, should I go record something? Should I go meditate first? Should I do a ceremony? What is it that I should do? And it's always top of mind. Even thinking of the vacations that I have that are coming up here, I'm just thinking, okay, how am I going to fit this into my schedule? Because going somewhere for 4 days, yes, let's go have fun, but to not have the time or make the time to meditate or study or record things or do whatever it is soul depleting for me. It's something that I need to do. And I would imagine that if you're on the spiritual path and you just decide you're going to take a whole bunch of time off from being on the spiritual path, it does something to your heart and to your soul. You know, you feel it's something that you need, something that really does something good for you. Anyways, this is what I have for you guys here today. Love you guys so much. Take care. If you want to have a session with me, you can pop onto my website, therealhealinginstitute.com, and there would be all kinds of information on there. I would love to meet with you or work with you. And if you happen to be in Sedona or coming to visit, we could do a session live and in person here in Sedona, which would be cool, as long as I am here. Love you guys all. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.